Cascade Hoops Talk, this is Billy D. Hey, I want to dedicate today's show to my dad, Dean DeWitt. You can see him there in that picture. They were the state champions in Montana when he was in high school. They won the B championship. They played for a unified championship against Great Falls. There was only A and B back then. They lost to Great Falls by 12, and I heard every play of that game my entire life. That game actually haunted my dad. He loved basketball. He played competitive basketball until he was almost 50. Huge Oregon Tech supporter in our local community. He taught me the importance of supporting things in your community. He had a real passion for supporting student athletes. He made a big difference to a lot of young men as they came through Oregon Tech when I was growing up. I try to emulate that a bit. I'll never be my dad. He was something special. But that's where I learned my love of the game, my love of, the importance of supporting the student athletes. And I miss him every day. So today's show is dedicated to my dad, Dean DeWitt. He'd be 98 today. Dean DeWitt. Hey, today we're going to have Jared Jauch on the phone. He is the new head basketball coach of the Huntington Foresters. Of course, he's been there several years. With Corey. I'm going to be out there in October. We're going to have a Crossroads GPAC not playoff, but a little tournament at the start of the season. We're going to have Morningside, who I think Trent Miller has a condo there in Kansas City. And also we're going to have Briarcliff come out from Iowa. Briarcliff has been down just a little bit, but Mark Svagera, you'd never want to count him out. One of the best coaches in the country. And so I'm really looking forward to that. They invited me out, and I was really honored to go out and cover that. So why don't we get this show started? Cascade Hoops Talk, produced in the shadow of the beautiful Cascade Mountains and bringing the world NAIA basketball. One podcast at a time. Jared Jauch is the new head coach, and get that pronunciation. I don't want to hear people mispronouncing his name. Jared Jauch is the new head coach at Huntington. Why don't you take a listen to him? I really enjoyed my conversation. I enjoy most of my conversations with coaches. He seems like a pretty good guy. I think Huntington's lucky to have him there. What a great place to be. I mean, they just redid the Platte. Huntington fans are some of the best fans in the country. So what a great place to be. Why don't we take a listen to Jared Jauch, and new head coach of the Huntington Foresters. Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. I got Jared Jauch on the phone, brand new head men's basketball coach. Not brand new. You assisted there for many years. At Huntington University, the Foresters. Welcome, Jared.
Thanks, Billy. Appreciate you having me on.
We talked about you were there under Corey Alford for several years. You guys had an unbelievable run the last few years. What was that experience like working with Corey Alford and just the success and the athletes you guys have had there at Huntington?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a ton of fun working with Corey. I came in with him and had been with him all 5 years from year one. Started out as a grad assistant and worked my way up, and was lucky to learn under him. A brilliant basketball mind. Learned a ton from the offensive side of the basketball. Just the things we were able to implement and the success we were able to have. We, like you said, we had a lot of really talented, really good players, especially at the guard position. Zach Goodline, Lane Sparks. You coach two guys over 5 years that end up in the top five all-time scoring list at your school. That's pretty special. But being able to learn from Corey, and then just the trust that he put in me from day one. I don't think there's a lot of head coaches in the country that would have given me as much responsibility and has put as much trust in me as he did. So a lot of fun being able to kind of get Huntington basketball back on the right track and get things headed in the right direction with him.
I would be remiss if I didn't ask you a little bit about the Crossroads League. Everybody knows arguably, everybody claims they're the toughest conference in the country, but arguably one of the toughest. It's a buzzsaw night in, night out. Just give the fans a bit of a feel for what it's like to coach in the Crossroads.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a ton of really good coaches in the Crossroads League. Really, really good offensive league. You see a ton of skill, high level skill basketball players, and you got to bring it every single night. If you don't, anybody can get you, and it's hard to go on the road and win games, and it's hard to defend home court. But I think that's what makes it such a great league. It's a lot of fun to coach in. It's a lot of fun to play in for the guys, and you play in a lot of really, really good atmospheres. I think it's comparable to what the Big Ten and the SEC are, and Division One. And you finish fourth, fifth in the league. Those are teams that can still make a run and win a national championship. So you gotta be prepared. You gotta be ready to bring it every single night. Like I said, I think the coolest part is you get to play in a lot of really, really cool and fun atmospheres.
Yeah, definitely. Coach, you're getting ready to move up to that first chair in the Crossroads at a school that has just a phenomenal basketball history. What are you most excited about?
Yeah, I think this is something that I've always wanted to do, is be a small college head coach at a young age. And, I'm super excited to kind of just keep building on, the success that Huntington has had. You look back at the Steve Platt era, and then, being able to rebuild it with Corey these last few years, and just continuing to hopefully take that next step and get us to the point where we're getting back to Kansas City, and we're playing in that final weekend and competing for championships. And, just kind of getting to build on what everyone before me here has done, but also getting to kind of imprint and leave my own mark on the program.
Coach, I know you played at Covenant, and excuse me for not knowing this, but where is Covenant? Where did you grow up?
So I grew up in Forest, Virginia, small town right outside of Lynchburg. If you've ever heard of Liberty University,
absolutely.
right around that area, and then went and played at Covenant College in Lookout Mountain, Georgia. It is literally on top of a mountain, right above Chattanooga, Tennessee. So you're in Chattanooga, you start driving up Lookout Mountain, and about halfway up, the state line of Georgia is right there, and you cross over, and the school literally sat on top of the mountain in Georgia.
Oh, okay. You're not going to believe this, but my wife and I used to live down in that neighborhood. We lived in Winston-Salem for several years during my working career, during my many travels. Awesome. So I'm familiar with that area.
Yeah, it's a beautiful area.
Talk about we talk all the time about how the NAIA is really sound basketball. I've seen it in my lifetime. I think, my opinion at least, the talent level has just exploded over the last 10 years. How do you compare? How does NAIA basketball compare to a small college basketball across America?
Yeah, well, I think NAIA basketball, like you said, has exploded. And I think a big part of that is kind of, the landscape of what college basketball has become, and, the transfer portal, and Division I's taken so many transfers and older kids, and it's helped schools and programs like us recruiting high school kids. We get better high school players coming out, and, they're highly talented. And I think the reputation, especially with the Crossroads League now, is that we develop a lot of talent. And you've seen that from our program alone. Ben Hummerkaus is at Illinois now. Lane Sparks and Landon Jordan followed Coach Alford out to Oral Roberts. Max Gizzy's at Minnesota. And then you look at the Elijah Malones from Grace, Javon Buchanan's from Iowa. Our league is producing high level players. So kids come out of high school and they know, if I can produce in the Crossroads League, I got a chance to go and play Division I basketball or go play professionally. And nowadays you can make money doing either one. So it's really changed the landscape, and I think it's made NAIA and small college basketball more competitive and better as a whole.
Hey, let's talk just for a moment. We're going to talk more about this as the time gets closer. You have a big tournament out in Indiana. I'm going to come out there and cover it. What an honor that is, by the way. We've got two GPAC teams, Briarcliff and Morningside. The GPAC always brings it. That's going to be a pretty exciting weekend, isn't it? We're going to play at Grace on Friday, and then Saturday night, the marquee night, we're going to be up there in the Platte, and I can't wait. Talk about that weekend.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a ton of fun. You said it, and every league thinks they're the best league in the country, but I don't think you can have that conversation without the GPAC and without the Crossroads being right up there. And we talked earlier, but we kind of got a taste of the GPAC last year when we played Northwestern in the national tournament, a really, really good team that we kind of ran into a buzzsaw. But I think it's going to be two really good tests for us early to find out who we are and what we're made of. Two high level programs, high level teams that one's going to be a neutral game, and then one we're lucky and blessed to get a true home game. So I think it's going to be really, really good environments. It's going to be a ton of fun just having four really good teams getting to compete and play against each other. And like I said, that early in the season, it'll give you a good feel of where you're at as a team, where you're at as a program, and what it's going to take to get to Kansas City.
You were named head coach in April. What are one or two things that have really pleased you where you thought, well, I think we're better in this position than I thought we were, or this spot, or this is a better situation than I thought? And then maybe one thing that surprised you is, oh, I didn't know the head coach had to do this.
Yeah, well, I'll start with one thing that surprised me. Corey told me when I got the job, you'll find out quickly as a head coach, you don't spend as much time on basketball as you think.
Yeah.
And I found that to be true very quickly. Just with all the things that you have to deal with, outside of just basketball.
Yeah.
So I think luckily he warned me on that, but when you finally get into it and you realize how true it is. And then, one thing that I think, is exciting is just the roster we've been able to put together. I think, we're extremely talented. We're a little bit more athletic than we've been in the past, and we're able to add some good pieces and some good size and, retain almost all of our returning guys, and, excited about that group. And I think it's a group that is very, very hungry to accomplish things that we haven't here yet, and, win a conference championship, get to Kansas City and take that next step.
There at Huntington, you're blessed. You have an unbelievable fan base. You've been there several years already, but what's your reception been since being named as head coach from the fan base?
It's been great. Huntington basketball and basketball in general in the state of Indiana it's king. Just being able to be so closely connected to the community and have great relationships with them. If you watch our games, the community support is unmatched. They show up every single night. It's been great, getting to know people on a deeper level and the reception I've gotten from them. So excited to get all of them back in Platt Arena this year and have that place rocking.
So is Platt, is it all done now? I knew last year there was still some work to do. Is it all finished now?
Yep. Everything is completely done, and it's been a ton of fun and awesome to see how far it's come, over the years since we got here, and got to host the national tournament last year. And I think that was just a great way to showcase, what this place has become and what it will continue to grow and be.
So what can fans there in Huntington and in the Crossroads, what can they expect to see this coming season with kind of a new brand of Huntington Foresters?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think you're going to see a team that's really fun to watch play and competes extremely hard. I think at the small college level, a big thing is building great culture. And that's, recruiting the right guys, getting guys to buy in. But you're going to see a team that, is very selfless in the way they play, very selfless in the way they treat each other on and off the court. And then that just competes at a high level, just super fearless, courageous, and you're going to see a group that is hungry to win. And like I said, I think our returners in this class we brought in, they're extremely hungry to take that next step and accomplish some of the goals and things that we have here. So I think it's going to be a fun brand of basketball. But the biggest thing is you're going to see a team that just really competes really hard, tough, gritty, and does all those things on both sides of the basketball.
Coach, I can hear it in your voice. How excited are you for October?
I can't wait. Our guys get on campus here soon, and just excited and fired up to get to be around them every single day and get to work.
Well, Coach, I really appreciate you taking a couple of minutes, kind of introduce yourself to the fans. As I mentioned, we'll get you back on as we get a little closer to that tournament in October. I can't wait to get out there and meet you in person, cover those games in Indiana. But thank you so much for giving me the time today.
Yep, absolutely. I appreciate you having me on, and can't wait to get you out here for those games in October. And we're really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be a ton of fun. That's Jared Jauch. He's the head men's basketball coach, Huntington Foresters. Thank you, Coach.
Yep, thank you.
Hey, thank you so much to Jared Jauch and to Huntington University. As I said, I can't wait to get out there. Those trips to Indiana are always fun. They're always fine, but they're fun. Going to Grace on Friday night, Huntington on Saturday night. Got a couple other trips planned this year. I'll tell you more about them. We're going to 3 really premier tournaments this year and doing full coverage. I think you're going to really enjoy that. Hey, join us tomorrow. Real treat for you. Jim Boone, the new head men's basketball coach at Missouri Valley. He comes in to that job with over 600 wins under his belt. I think he's beginning his 40th year as a head coach, looking to turn around Missouri Valley. So we'll talk to him tomorrow. Thank you so much. I appreciate everybody listening to Cascade Hoops Talk. Thank you very much for supporting our podcast. Please like and subscribe. Get out to your local NAIA school, because NAIA basketball is the best entertainment value in America.